Namaste. I'm the Gray Strega, and I'm here to give you your daily collective read for today, Monday, September 25th, 2023. What do we have coming through in the cards for today? May I please have the first 5 cards in our 5-card spread? First card that we are starting our day off with today is Queen of Swords in its reversal. If this card looked a little familiar, it is because we pulled it just yesterday, but it was in its upright. So again, we are seeing here that there is something about the feminine energy moving into a space or place of more vulnerability today. In partnership, this is going to be a positive right now. There is something that we did identify, and you may have picked up on this yesterday that we saw with the Daily Collective, that while masculine was trying to be in a state or place of easement yesterday, feminine was much more in this space or vibration right now of having some of that guard up, feeling that need or desire to want to tackle things or take care of things, much more very different vibration than the masculine yesterday. We're seeing here that in the energies that are in partnership, this is the easing coming through that the masculine was able to provide the feminine yesterday. This is potentially going to feel like feminine is in a space or place where they don't feel like they need to have so much of their guard up at this time. While for masculine and for masculine right now, this is potentially something that you're trying to allow for the feminine energy. For masculine in partnership right now, this could potentially even feel like a bit of a success metric in terms of some of the work that you did yesterday in the partnership to allow this feminine energy to feel this sense of ease as you proceed forward from this point. Now, for masculine and feminine energy that are not in partnership, this is going to feel a little bit different, because one of the things that we really identified yesterday is we did see a lot of that make or break energy coming through right now between masculine and feminine. Feminine was being very rigid. Feminine was holding a bit of that sticking to their convictions, as it were. Now, as we saw, this is where we're going to basically effectively see things falling on 2 different parts of this collective, because we did identify that for some of the masculine energy, yesterday was a moment of coming into balance, coming into alignment, allowing your own emotional vulnerability to push through that would basically allow things to progress forward with feminine energy. For the feminine energy that effectively recognized this right now, this is potentially why we may be seeing a bit of this easement. This may be the point of success or the success metric that you identified as it relates to what you were effectively asking from masculine yesterday and effectively receiving it, and that is effectively bringing you into a space where you are feeling more confident or more comfortable going forward. While for the other part of the feminine collective right now, this could effectively be feeling some of that moment potentially of recognizing or seeing the fact that some of the masculine energy is potentially choosing their own level or degree of autonomy at this time, and that is something that is making you feel very vulnerable. We did point out that for a lot of the feminine energy, this is triggering a lot of that abandonment wound to be able to have to hold this position. So today is a moment for feminine to really kind of work through this, or have to go through some situations or circumstances, questioning what they want to effectively be open to right now versus spaces or places that are making them feel too vulnerable. For masculine, you're potentially seeing this right now with the feminine. In partnership, this is potentially something that feels like that's something that is productive. Masculine, you may be allowing feminine some time or space right now to come into this easement, recognizing that you yourself were in that easement yesterday, and it was much harder for feminine energy to come into that vibration. Outside of partnership right now, again, for the collective or the part of the masculine collective that was effectively in this space of coming forward, being able to be open, potentially providing to the feminine what they were asking in partnership, this is that moment that you're seeing the fact that it's immediately having that result or effect. Feminine energy is effectively holding to what they effectively said, which is allowing some point of entry if there is this point of vulnerability that is reached. For the other part of the masculine collective right now, this is potentially that movement towards energy that is potentially more open, more accessible, more available. This is that other part of the breakaway point that we saw masculine energy moving away if they're not necessarily ready to come into that point of emotional maturation. This is them maintaining that degree of autonomy as they move towards other feminine energy. Second card for today's spread is 2 cards coming out right now. We have here, we love to see these 2 cards at play. We've got here the 6 of Cups in combination with our Devil card in its reversal. So what we're really seeing here is this is a moment of deep healing. we are identifying right now that there are some situations or circumstances that, again, this is what we're seeing that is going to feel almost like a point of catharsis. Catharsis is not an easy thing to feel. Catharsis can feel somewhat painful, much like when you heal a wound and that wound starts to heal and it still aches a little. We're almost seeing some of that energy coming into play here. For feminine energy, we're effectively recognizing and identifying that some of this vulnerability that you're moving into right now is coming from a state or place of catharsis. We see that because while you may be feeling vulnerable to some degree, you're recognizing that you're healing and you're getting a lot of support from the positive karmic energy that is around you right now. Now, for energies that are in partnership, this is potentially really feeling this level or degree of healthy, productive, supportive karmic energy that is surrounding the feminine right now as you potentially move into some spaces or places that you're feeling more vulnerable at this time. This could even be identifying for a lot of the feminine energy right now, reaching out to those around you to help build this sense of support, or you're getting this coming towards you right now in some level or degree of capacity right now. Now, for the energy that is in partnership, we are seeing here that this is that moment that the feminine is allowing some space or place to be vulnerable in this way, to continue on their healing journey, specifically because there is this moment that you are identifying, if you're in partnership, that you are feeling the power. You're really feeling that power of having that positive, healthy, karmic energy around you that is helping you move forward on your own healing journey. This is feeling restorative. This is feeling healing. It's not necessarily easy, but you're still allowing yourself this space or place to do this work. While for masculine right now, this is potentially something that you're even providing the feminine right now, that you're in this space or place, that you are also kind of allowing a space for the feminine to be able to be vulnerable so that they can continue forward on their healing journey. Potentially for the masculine in partnership at this moment, you are recognizing that some of your duty or some of your call right now is to effectively create a space where the feminine can be vulnerable so that they can continue forward in this work. So in partnership right now, we see that this is feeling like very, very good positive energy. This could also be speaking right now. I will point out that for a lot of the energy that we identified that is in partnership at this moment, a lot of these issues that have been coming into play right now have had more to do with outside karmic energies that effectively needed some point of healing. We like to see these cards at play right now because effectively what we're really identifying and what we're really seeing is the fact that for the feminine and masculine energy in partnership at this moment, some of this work is showing. The work that you've been trying to do in partnership to heal the outside karmic connections is also taking effect. So it's like allowing for like this point of healing and productivity as you go forward from this point. While for the masculine and the feminine energy, that is not in partnership at this time or in separation, this is going to effectively feel a bit different. Feminine energy, again, this is either a moment that if you are in separation, masculine has effectively come forward in that level or degree that you are asking them to. This has allowed you to have this moment that is allowing you to be vulnerable to this capacity. It's like immediately like you're putting your guard down because like that was the point, that was the boundary, that was the access point that was required. You're seeing that, you're allowing this to be healing because feminine energy is moving in this vibration, has effectively recognized and identified that the masculine energy that's moving towards them right now is also committed to the path of positive karmic healing. So feminine energy is effectively allowing this point of vulnerability to be reached because feminine seeing that this is something that is showing some level or degree of being able to be healed. Now, for the other part of the feminine energy that's effectively going through this right now, this is the other part of that. We did identify that half the masculine energy was allowing this to be a point of emotional maturation, as it were, coming out of something that feels like they were kind of moving from their own vibration or their own personal choices into one where they're able to embody and understand and come into empathy with your own. For the other part of the energy right now, some of the masculine is choosing to continue forward in a space or state of autonomy at this time. For the feminine energy that is effectively seeing this, we also see that this is a point of healing and catharsis, because what we're basically identifying right now is the feminine energy isn't necessarily chasing after the masculine in this degree. Rather, feminine energy is taking this as a sign that this is a point of healing for them right now while it is making them feel vulnerable. They're potentially even reaching out to those around them right now to continue to get the support they need as they go through this at this time so that they may continue forward on their own healing journey. Now, for masculine right now, we are also identifying that this is effectively occurring at this point. For the masculine that's going through this, as I said, in partnership, providing that supportive environment for feminine to be able to feel like they can be their most vulnerable self. For the other part of the masculine energy that is in separation right now, this is that breakaway point that we were basically identifying, because what we're either seeing here right now is this is that moment for the masculine that you're taking your own responsibility and role right now in helping to heal the karmic connection that's requiring you to effectively open up to the feminine. This is creating that supportive system. You're already immediately seeing the results of that action. You're seeing the fact that there's something here that the feminine is effectively kind of held to their word. And now that you've effectively opened to them, you're immediately feeling that restorative energy coming back into the partnership. Well, for the other part of the masculine energy right now, this is effectively you moving towards right now. Moving away from something, having to effectively leave some situation or circumstance, not ready to allow yourself to come into that point of maturation, wanting to maintain your own level or degree of autonomy. And this is a moment that you are effectively looking right now towards new feminine energy that you feel will be more vulnerable and available to you, even while you're trying to heal, and potentially getting a lot of support from the energy around you at this time as you do so, because this is now also becoming something that is very difficult for you as well. So what we're really seeing for the energy right now that's not necessarily moving towards feminine in this capacity, you're still needing some kind of support here. You're still needing some point of healing, and you're potentially moving right now towards friends or family to provide this support system as you kind of recognize effectively that you're making this choice for yourself at this moment. Center card for today's spread is, we have here, oh my goodness, these cards today are absolutely beautiful. We have here our Six of Pentacles in its reversal. This is a moment that we are seeing that there is a lot of healing that is coming into play. Abandonment wounds that are coming through into a point of healing, allowing this healing to take root. What's really beautiful about this right now is it's not just the fact that there are some trigger points. Whenever we see this energy here, we recognize and understand that there are some things that are very triggering at this time. What's more important is, again, this is not a moment that there's a movement right now towards the fear-based motion, towards how to respond or react to those. Rather, allowing oneself a level of degree of moving with a lot of intentionality, recognizing the wound, allowing it to be healed, noticing it, observing it as it's occurring, is now allowing for something more restorative to come through in its wake. Now, for the energy that is in partnership at this moment, this is what you're effectively providing to one another. It's not the fact that there aren't wounds at play here, but it is the point and the understanding right now that you are seeing and recognizing those wounds, and you are putting in that care and level and concern to be able to address and heal them. Masculine and feminine are effectively doing this right now in partnership, and it is feeling like something that is very positive, very productive, very healing. Now, masculine and feminine energy that are in partnership right now, and I have to stress this, they're not only doing this for themselves at this moment, they're doing it for those around them as well. This is like giving me like this like wave of positivity that's coming through as the wound is being healed. It continues to kind of spread out to a certain degree and heal those that are around them in the same time. This is allowing right now feminine energy to come into a space or place where they feel like they don't necessarily have to have their guard up right now. Masculine's potentially even allowing this point for now for the feminine energy to be vulnerable in this degree, because masculine energy recognizes that when the feminine energy is able to be vulnerable, that's where the true healing can begin. Now, for masculine and for feminine's part, you are necessarily potentially seeing this right now with the masculine energy that's around you. And this is furthering your own healing journey that is, again, effectively affecting theirs as well. It's a beautiful point of reciprocity that we see that is happening right now as it relates to confronting abandonment wounds and allowing it to be a point of healing. Now, for masculine and feminine energy that is not in partnership right now, this is similarly a point of catharsis that is coming. And we like to see this right now, because I need to stress that even for the energies that are in separation at this time, it is allowing for a lot of productive and positive growth to occur. What we're basically seeing is, again, as we identified, there may have been some points that were reached yesterday around feminine energy kind of calling masculine energy forward, allowing them a point of understanding that if they were able to come forward fully in certain regards, certain situations, that it would be an opportunity for the feminine and masculine to be able to heal some karmic connections. Now, Masculine basically fell on one or two sides of this right now. We saw that first half of the masculine energy right now. This is a moment of recognizing that there was some point of emotional maturation that would be necessarily have to occur in order to come towards the feminine in this fashion, potentially having to be more open and vulnerable than you potentially have been before in the past. For half of the masculine energy, potentially you now necessarily went forward and did that work. It's allowing this point of healing and catharsis to come through because you're almost immediately recognizing the results of that action. Feminine is opening up. They're becoming more vulnerable. It's allowing something in the connection itself to be healed. And it is difficult as you do it because that vulnerability is triggering your abandonment wound. But at the same time, it is also healing it as you confront it. For the other part of the masculine collective right now, this is a moment that, again, this is still a point of separation. You're not necessarily ready to come into partnership. You're not necessarily ready to come into that higher union. But what we really see and identify, and I like this so much, even for the energy that's making that choice right now, is there something that is being a movement away from something with an observation of your own need to grow. For the masculine energy that's doing this at this time, there is potentially something that you're now doing. You're moving towards more vulnerable feminine energy. But you are recognizing your own need and ability to heal in some regard. You're potentially even getting some of that healing right now from some of the friends, the people that you feel closely enough to right now, potentially even navigating these spaces, because what you've really done right now is something about these circumstances or situations is making you have to confront your own abandonment wound. It's making you have to kind of see something fully in the face right now. And even that is a point of catharsis because it's something that is observed, is something that can be healed. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now. Fourth card in our 5-card spread for today is, oh my goodness, Ace of Cups coming through here today. This is beautiful energy. We are seeing here that today is a day of a lot of emotional, spiritual healing, bringing this level of care and consideration to circumstances or situations, immediately feeling the impact. If you're in partnership right now, this is potentially just feeling the degree and value of care and support that you can find in those higher partnerships. It is allowing this level or degree of healing to occur. And what's beautiful about this is the fact that the partnered energies, it's not just the fact that the healing is happening in the partnership itself. It's almost like pulling it through and it's hitting all the other parts of the energy that is around you at this time. It's basically like allowing this level or degree of healing to come into play. Now, for the masculine and feminine energy right now that is not in partnership, this is also coming through with a lot of healing today, a lot of energy that feels very emotionally supportive. For feminine specifically at this time, what we're basically identifying is, again, feminine energy is keeping their focus on what feels like it is in the best interest, spiritually and emotionally, of the feminine energy. Feminine is being very vulnerable in this degree. Feminine energy is effectively even allowing some energy to move away or to let go if they want to let go, because feminine energy is basically at a space right now where they're trying to think about what feels best for them at this time, but recognizing that doing that is actually how the feminine energy is healing the abandonment wound. For feminine at this time, it is recognizing that this is something that they can find within, that they can create this sense of restoration within right now, and from the healthy karmic energies that are around them at this time, that is further allowing this point of healing to occur. And it's hard work, because it does make the feminine feel like they're in a very vulnerable space. But the feminine that's in this vibration is allowing themselves to stay in this point of vulnerability because they're realizing and recognizing that they're building the sense of how to restore themselves in these moments. Feminine is keeping their observation even through moments right now, if this is masculine moving away from them, on recognizing the value and importance of a healthy karmic connection, not something that you need to run towards, but something that moves towards you. And the feminine is utilizing this right now as further evidence about them putting the care of the self first and foremost, as opposed to trying to chase after partnerships that put them more in a lack need mentality. Now, the other part of the feminine collective right now, you are seeing the fact that some of that masculine energy coming towards you at this time has done this work of maturation. This is that choice that they're effectively making right now to be open, to be honest, to heal those connections. This is immediately having an impact. It's immediately having a point of restoration that is reached, because the feminine energy is effectively putting down their guard and allowing that energy forward so long as they've met the criteria of having done the emotional work. For masculine right now, and for the feminine energy that's not recognizing that, even if they're not recognizing that, and this is that point of departure, feminine's almost immediately getting support from those around them in terms of holding fast, in terms of what they've decided, in terms of how they feel, and letting this be that point of productivity going forward. Now, for masculine energy that's doing this work at this time, again, one of two different scenarios coming into play. This is either masculine energy that has come forward, that's allowing this point of emotional maturation to occur, feeling the fact that the almost immediate healing right now from the feminine, that is recognized that the masculine energy is coming from a point of healing, healthy karmic energy, is willing to kind of immediately put their guard down so that this becomes an active healing, like almost immediate restoration coming into play today if that work is occurring. Now, for the masculine energy that is effectively taking this as a moment that this is a point of choosing one's own autonomy, moving away from something that gave every evidence that it could have been a clear partnership opportunity. This is a moment that for you right now, we are identifying and recognizing that even now, there is something very valuable and important that is coming into play, because you're not necessarily leaving that situation and scenario in the same space or place that you came into it as. What we're really seeing has effectively happened here is the fact that the masculine energy has effectively learned something from that point of departure. There's something that you've effectively potentially recognized within you around your own abandonment wound. You are also potentially putting a lot of care and degree right now into your own sense of healing, potentially getting a lot of outside support from energy around you right now as you try to do so, because we also see right now that this is almost coming through right now as trying to find a point of new healing, a new connection that is going to allow you to basically have this fresh start while you also are able to build this and clear this abandonment wound that you now observe within yourself. For some of the masculine energy right now, again, this is that point of restoration. But what we like about this is even for the other half of the masculine energy right now, this is still feeling like a point of healing. It's still feeling productive, but it's just feeling like it's coming through a very difficult situation or circumstance. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now. Fifth card in our 5-card spread before we start getting clarification on these cards at this moment. These cards today, my friends, these cards today are absolutely beautiful. What we're really seeing right now is, again, reciprocity is key. Reciprocity is key. Giving forth in positive ways, getting back in kind. And this is effectively what we see that is moving forward right now for the energies both in and out of partnership. For masculine and feminine energy right now, that is in partnership. This is immediately like feeling that regenerative, restorative energy of putting into something and immediately getting back what you put in. It's feeling very like beautiful. It's giving like a lot of positivity here. We see here that it's feeling like it's creating the state or space of easement for you at this moment. And what we also like about this, and I need to point this out for the energies that are going through this right now, is it's also not something that you're holding towards yourself. It's something that like is also having an impact on all the energy around you at this time. It's almost like the fact that like the positive, healthy partnerships at this moment just like continue to give forth in positive ways towards all of the energy that's around them. It's almost like the positivity, the healthiness, the emotional positivity is almost like contagious to a certain extent. And it's almost spreading out, and it's allowing for this deeper healing to happen, not just within the partnership, but in all the energy surrounding the partnership. While for masculine and feminine energy right now that is not in partnership, there's still a lot of this higher healing that is effectively occurring right now. We're seeing this very much in real time. For feminine energy, again, there may have been a point of action yesterday, that there was a point of recognition. There was seeing masculine energy vacillating back and forth in terms of having to make a decision or trying to go forward with something. Feminine energy was effectively even recognizing it. Feminine energy was not trying to block the masculine energy or just the masculine energy making the decisions that they had to make yesterday. What we really observed was that feminine was effectively just observing the masculine energy and that vibration to see which way they would move. Masculine, for some of the masculine energy we saw yesterday, was a point of departure, moving forward with their own sense of autonomy intact, not ready to necessarily come into a space or place of higher union. For the other part of the masculine collective yesterday, this may have been a return moment. This was taking a leap of faith, coming into a point of emotional maturation. Immediately, for the masculine energy that did that, you're seeing the results of those actions. We're seeing the fact that the feminine energy is coming from a space or place where they're immediately opening up to you, identifying the fact that there's something here that can be healing, that can be restorative, allowing that to almost immediately restore some of this partnership energy as you both confront your own abandonment wounds or doubts or fears at this time. This is feeling like a lot of restorative energy because it's feeling extremely reciprocal. Now, for the other part of the masculine collective, if this was that point of departure, if this was that moment that you could not necessarily abandon one's own autonomy or you chose not to do so at this time, we are seeing that effectively this is a moment that even now you are focusing on your own restoration of self. We're recognizing and seeing here for the masculine energy that's going through this right now, there's even a moment that you're potentially identifying the fact that this is something that you kind of recognize and see. Something within the self that needs to heal. There's something here that even for the energy that's moving away in this capacity right now, you are recognizing and identifying that there's something here, thank you for the gift, that needs to have some self-work on. You are recognizing right now your own limitations, your own abandonment wounds. You're potentially even talking through this right now with some of your friends, anyone who's close to you, anyone you share positive karmic connections with, as you move forward, trying to find new energy that's going to be more open and vulnerable to you at this time. Potentially, though, what we appreciate is even as you're doing this at this moment, you are paying a lot of attention to your own inner work. There's something here that is coming through as restorative, even if this is a moment that you're moving away from something right now. And we're seeing that in a very big way because we're effectively seeing right now that masculine energy that's doing this in this capacity is almost allowing this to be like a restart where they're trying to find something that they can kind of take and implement the lessons that they learned, the positive lessons, into new opportunities and experiences going forward. Now let's see if we can get some clarification on these cards right now. Clarification between our Queen of Swords in its reversal, Devil card in its reversal, Six of Cups in its upright. So feminine energy, beautiful energy today. Because what we like about this is while the feminine energy may be feeling vulnerable, it's a healing vulnerability. It's a vulnerability that feminine's falling into that point because feminine energy is not just the fact that feminine is feeling vulnerable, but feminine's healing, and they've got a lot of positive karmic energy around them as they do so. In partnership right now, this is masculine potentially creating the space for the feminine energy to be in this vibration. For masculine and feminine energy that is in partnership, this could even be a moment that like a lot of positive healing is coming through, not just in the partnership itself, but in some of the energy around you that you've been working on healing at this time. While for feminine, this is potentially feeling in partnership the easement of being in a space where you feel like you can be this vulnerable. Energies in separation right now. Again, this is going to feel like more of a point of catharsis, either coming into a point of healing and recognizing that there is partnerships that are showing an ability to heal. Feminine has seen what they need to see, that's giving them confidence that something is productive and positive, or this is feminine energy coming into a point of catharsis around recognizing that they are continuing and holding their own healing first and foremost, even if it makes them feel vulnerable to do so, and allowing the energy around them to support them as they hold firm to this decision. Masculine, we are also seeing, again, a point of union coming in here or departure. Again, immediately seeing the healing coming through and the positive connection if you're able to be vulnerable in this capacity. Other part, trying to heal and recognize one's own limitations from outside energy as you move away from something that you effectively are recognizing, looking for opportunities that aren't going to necessarily require you to have that level or degree yet in terms of maturation. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our Nine of Cups. We love to see this right now because what we're really seeing is there's a moment right now of true open expression. There is a moment right now that we're really identifying and recognizing that for both masculine and feminine energy at this time, there is something that is coming through about being very open, being very honest, putting those cards on the table, allowing that to be something that is creating the productive spaces going forward right now. For masculine and feminine energy right now that is working in union or working in partnership, this is effectively being in a state or space where you feel truly seen. You feel truly able to share oneself. You're seeing each other fully, and you're almost like moving from a state or space of gratitude. Like this gratitude is something that is helping to build your own abundance at this time. And so today is really a day of really, again, in partnership, having a point of like recognizing and appreciating just how much work has gone into things up until this point. We're seeing here again that this is because not only are we seeing that there's these points of easement in the relationship itself, but the relationship is having a positive impact on the energy outside of the relationship, which is almost one of the things that's continuing to build that point of positivity going forward. Now, for masculine and feminine energy right now that is not in partnership at this time, what we're effectively seeing that's happening in this moment is this is the fact that for masculine and feminine, even if you're not in partnership right now, there is a sense of easement that is coming into play around some circumstances and situations. Because what we are really identifying at this time is for the feminine energy, we recognized that there was either one of two different modalities happening for the energies in separation. This was either a breakaway point. Feminine energy was very much requiring and requesting masculine to open up to this emotional level and degree for them right now. Masculine either came forward and did that. It's immediately creating a positive karmic connection towards the energies at play right now. It is allowing for this point of restoration. It is allowing for this point of healing. For the other part of the feminine energy, if this was a point that masculine was moving away, choosing one's own autonomy against moving into partnership in this way, feminine's recognizing what happened. Feminine energy is not necessarily chasing after the energy. Feminine's using this as a main point of feeling vulnerable but sticking firmly to their healing journey, getting support from outside energies around them, and focusing on their abundance mindset. Masculine is also doing this right now. Again, in partnership, if you came forward, you're immediately getting this kind of like welcoming energy coming from the feminine in terms of you being in this vibration, allowing this to be a point of healing. For the other part of the energy right now, this is a moment that, again, you are at least doing the work if you're not necessarily ready to move into that state or place of relinquishing your own autonomy at this time. You're looking for new opportunities to help learn the lessons of the healing you're going through right now, maintaining your abundance mindset, and also getting a lot of help from outside energy at this moment, potentially even as you're recognizing your own limitations, your own pitfalls. This could even be a moment right now where you're effectively identifying for yourself at this moment any points of adjustment that you may need to reach going forward from here. So beautiful energy for all parts in play right now. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Six of Cups, our double energy in its reversal, and our Six of Pentacles in its reversal. Absolutely beautiful energy that we're seeing at this time, because we are seeing that for all energies at play, a lot of focus right now on positive healed karmic connections, to heal abandonment wounds, and to do a lot of this deeper internal healing. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with Four of Swords in its reversal. What we also see here is, again, this isn't necessarily saying that everything is perfect at this time, but we are seeing that this is giving a lot of energy and opportunity right now of allowing this point of easement, allowing there to be something that feels very restive and restorative, potentially a lot of focus right now. There may even be feeling like, it may even feel like a little bit like, this kind of energy right now. It's like giving me a lot of like dormant kind of feeling right now. It's almost creating this sense of ease. It's letting for this like sense of peace to come into play right now. But that peace is feeling very restorative at this time. Now, for masculine and feminine energy that is effectively coming through in this point right now, what we're really seeing is today could be feeling like allowing this point of rest to come into play, having this point of feeling like some milestones or benchmarks have been reached. And this is what is allowing this point of easement to come in right now. There could even be a lot of focus right now on how to create some spaces and places of rest at this time. It's giving me a lot of energy of like, how do I articulate this? It's almost like a Monday that feels like a Sunday kind of energy, because you would expect this kind of energy more on a Sunday. But what we're really seeing right now that feels very like positive and productive to a certain extent is, again, this is allowing for a lot of this peaceful energy to come in as it relates to the partnerships. Maybe not a lot of activity in partnership today, I will point out. Okay. Now, for masculine and feminine energy that is not in partnership or in separation, this is a point that, again, may not be seeing a lot of activity. There was a lot of activity yesterday. Not so much today, because there's almost like a feeling of peace that's coming through on this right now. There's some kind of level of security. For masculine and feminine, again, feminine was asking something from masculine energy yesterday. Masculine energy had this breakaway point, which either they were going to be able to provide that to the feminine or they were not. For the masculine energy that did, they're immediately almost seeing the fact that it had an immediate reaction on the feminine. It's feeling immediately like the karmic energy is restored. It's immediately helping you heal your abandonment wound. It's creating a sense of like calm, peace, just like allowing yourself to like almost like enjoy the vibration is what we're really seeing here. It's like almost allowing for a level of degree of dormancy to come into something right now. For the feminine and the masculine energy right now that is not moving, that this was a choice of maintaining or keeping your own level or degree of autonomy at this moment, this is effectively a bit different, because what we're really identifying at this time is the fact that masculine energy is making like, is almost taking this to a point of recovery, is what we're really seeing. For the masculine energy that is not moving towards partnership with feminine at this time, this is feeling more like you need something you need some time to recover from. That something about this choice of choosing one's own autonomy is something that is very difficult and requires this like need or ability to rest at this time. This is something that we're seeing right now at this moment, is creating a space or place where you may be needing right now or depending right now on a lot of the outside energy around you at this time as you confront or face your own abandonment wound. Because something about this journey right now is kind of building some level or degree of insight in you. And this is also kind of requiring this point of rest. This point of rest, if you're in that point right now of solitude for masculine on that autonomous journey, might not feel as peaceful, but it does feel like it is needed or restorative. Now, feminine energy that's effectively moving in this vibration right now, we are effectively seeing that you yourself are also in this point of feeling at peace with things. Feminine energy is making peace with the situation and circumstances as they effectively are at this moment. For feminine energy, if the masculine came towards you, if they showed this capacity and degree of healing, this is that moment that feminine energy is immediately feeling at peace. That's why feminine is coming more into a space of vulnerability. Why? Because it's been really hard for the feminine to keep their guard up like this. It's not something that the feminine does easily. It's something that it takes a lot of work. Feminine doesn't want to be in a space where they feel like they have to hold these boundaries up all the time. But again, recognizing that the energy is now in a space or place that it can be restorative, that it can be healing, is giving the feminine confirmation that it can be healed. It is allowing an abandonment wound to be confronted and healed. And feminine energy is almost like allowing themselves a point of easement, of rest, of being like, relief, almost like feeling that instantaneous relief and seeing that this is moving in a productive space. Now, for the masculine energy right now, for the feminine energy that is not seeing masculine in that vibration, masculine that is moving away from feminine, that is choosing their own level or degree of autonomy at this time, we are also identifying and recognizing that the feminine energy is also feeling a sense of peace. Again, this is not a feminine energy that is chasing after that masculine. This is the feminine energy that is focusing and maintaining their degree and ability to hold to their own healing journey at this time. They're getting potentially support from outside energies around them as it relates to the choices that they're making right now, even if they're hard and they're making the feminine feel very vulnerable. But feminine is confronting their own abandonment wound. And feminine may be taking this time, giving themselves this point of rest or restoration, not letting themselves move based on the abandonment wound, doing the opposite, just allowing themselves to see the wound and giving themselves some space and place to heal it, right? This is what we want to see. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now. Between these two cards, which are fantastic together. You know, we've got here our Devil card in its reversal and our Six of Pentacles in combination, guys, in combination with our Ace of Cups. So abandonment wounds being healed, confronting unhealthy coping mechanisms, bad modalities of thought, unhealed connections, but doing that work and facing them full on and choosing to move towards the path of self-healing in the process of facing them. All healing here. It's like a suite of healing. It's just boom, boom, boom. One thing after another we're seeing here. It's feeling very restorative. It's feeling very positive for potentially all energies at play. Again, for some, this is going to feel like very celebratory. For others, it's going to feel more like a point of rest and catharsis. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our Empress. Beautiful, right? Because what we're seeing here, again, is this is that moment where the feminine energy is effectively feeling very vulnerable. Okay, this is not the feminine energy coming from a point of like, we've seen the feminine energy, I gotta stress, has been holding really firm recently, like has been really like, like navigating that space. But what we're really seeing now is feminine energy is like easing up. They're coming into a point of peace. Feminine energy is getting a lot of that support of the healthy karmic energy that's around them at this time. And effectively that's allowing this level or degree of healing that's effectively coming into play right now. This is allowing for this point of feminine energy, observing their need to heal. They're confronting the abandonment wound. They're doing this work on themselves at this time. Feminine energy in partnership at this moment, this is feeling the support of the partnership that is allowing you to be in this vibration. And it is effectively allowing this to be a point of coming into care of the self, first and foremost. Allowing this to feel very generative, very positive. Feminine energy is feeling vulnerable, but they're also feeling much more passionate as a result of it. The vulnerability is kind of required for feminine to sink into the heart space. Feminine energy has a hard time sinking into their heart space and being vulnerable when they're constantly in a space or place right now where they have to effectively keep their guard up at this time. Feminine is doing this work. It is creating this point of healing in partnership. Masculine, you are recognizing in partnership that if you provide this to feminine, that this is almost immediately the result of that. You are effectively recognizing right now that when you are able to create a space or place of feminine being able to be their most vulnerable self, that you are immediately seeing the results of that. You are immediately seeing the positive energy that comes forward from doing that for the feminine at this moment, because you're effectively recognizing the fact that feminine needs to be in a space of vulnerability in order to really allow their center of passion to open forth. And it's not just having effect on you, it's having effect on all of the positive energy around you. It's almost creating a space or place of restoration and healing. You're also healing your own abandonment wound as that's occurring at this time. Because feminine energy isn't just restricting this energy in the partnership itself. It's almost like having an immediate impact, a point of recognition in all of the energy around feminine that can identify that that's effectively happening. Now, masculine and feminine energy that are not in partnership at this time, this is feeling a bit different. Now, for the feminine energy that is moving right now outside of partnership, what we effectively are recognizing and identifying that's happening is, again, what is feminine doing? Feminine is either getting back from the masculine energy that they asked for this level or degree of openness, immediate confirmation that masculine energy understands and identifies what this work is. Understanding that point of action, understanding that work is giving feminine energy confirmation that the masculine energy is now approaching them from a space of wanting to create positive, healthy karmic connections. It is immediately leaving feminine in a space of being able to feel like they can come back into a space or place of passion and healing. For the other part of the feminine collective, if masculine hasn't effectively given you this point, they haven't shown you this ability, this is a moment that you are effectively walking away from some things at this time. You are letting things move away from you at this time. You are allowing yourself to be at peace with anything that is moving away from you at this time, because feminine energy is, again, not chasing after things right now. They're instead getting support from the other energy that's around them at this time, and they are focusing on their own sense of love, appreciation of the self, abundance, to help them through this, even at a point of taking some point of rest and restoration for themselves at this moment. Masculine that is not in partnership at this time, you are effectively seeing this with the feminine. You're potentially seeing this happening with the feminine a lot. You're potentially seeing the fact that the feminine energy is not chasing They're moving into a space of just appreciating oneself, coming into that vibration of healing, allowing this to be. For the masculine energy right now that is working in terms of building the connection back with the feminine, it's also allowing you to grow. It's created this space for you where you recognize that you are actually in a moment right now where either you need to come into a space of healing, you need to allow this to be a point of healing, or there's going to be kind of something that feels very continual and repetitive about your journey at this time. Because what we're really identifying here is that this is feminine energy that is now in a space or place where they're appreciating their own self. They're recognizing the fact that they're looking for spaces and places where they can be vulnerable, and that can only happen in healthy karmic connections. They're doing this work right now to heal the abandonment wound. They're doing this work to heal themselves at this time. They're coming into a space of appreciating the value of their own selves. Masculine, you're either coming into partnership with feminine right now, opening up in the same degree, allowing this to be a positive, healthy karmic connection. Or at this time right now, masculine, you are making the choice of maintaining your own level of degree of autonomy at this moment, but having recognized the things that you may need to potentially change within the self right now if you want to move into partnership at this moment. Because what we're really seeing with the masculine energy right now that is moving in the state or space of autonomy is you're kind of recognizing that something here is showing you something in yourself that needs to heal, something that needs to be adjusted. And you're now effectively, what we love about this right now for the masculine that is moving in this vibration is you're trying to move towards feminine right now. You're actually now, even for the masculine energy that is breaking away, maintaining their own autonomy at this moment, masculine is now trying to move towards a feminine that they recognize is in this vibration, because masculine energy is also trying to heal even if they are in separation right now. This is coming through in both ways. Masculine energy is keeping a lot of focus right now on their heart's desire at this moment. And there's something that the masculine energy is effectively seeing and understanding right now that is requiring them to heal if they want to move towards their heart's desire. Masculine, if you're now maintaining or holding that level of degree autonomy at this moment, you may even be getting a lot of conversation or feedback from those around you to help you better understand what you may need to change and address right now so that you can continue on your own healing journey at this time. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Ace of Cups in combination with our Six of Pentacles. Beautiful energy that we are seeing right now, because what we're really seeing coming into play right now is that feeling of reciprocity, that positive good give and take, recognizing that, seeing that right now, and allowing it to build this point of feeling the healing within the self at the same moment. Masculine, feminine, all sides of the collective right now are feeling this. There's a point of recognition on how that reciprocity, what you give and get back, allowing for a point of restoration, a point of healing, letting this be that moment of recognition. May we please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with the Queen of Cups in its reversal. This is feeling like a little bit of an emotional overwhelm for the feminine right now. This is something that almost feels a little bit emotionally overwhelming, because feminine, you're recognizing that you're doing a lot of this work internally on the self right now. You're doing a lot of this work within. It's hard work. It's a lot to carry. But this is also why we see, this is not surprising to see here. I'm going to say that because we did see the fact that over the last few days, feminine has been really tamping down their heart space. They've been working from that space or place of that high priestess energy, really utilizing their intuition, their insight. That has required them to push down on a lot of their emotionality at this time. What we're really seeing right now is for the feminine energy, it's going through this, it's almost like this moment that you're finally letting yourself be vulnerable is, feeling like this expression of just a lot of emotionality coming into play here. It's like a lot of this passionate, over emotional energy at this time. So it could almost feel like a little bit of an influx for some of the feminine energy that's in this vibration. It's not necessarily, and for the feminine right now that's feeling this, it's not necessarily what you're feeling at this moment. It's almost like how you contain it. You know what I mean? It's like your cup is running over so much right now. It almost feels like it's a bit heavy to bear. But we see here, how is the feminine energy? How is the feminine energy bearing that cup? They're sharing it to those around them. That's how they're emptying that. That's how they're releasing it. So there could be a lot of, I will point out, there could be a lot of emotional expression from the part of the feminine today. But again, we like this because it's all coming from a point of positivity and healing. We like seeing this, even if it may feel a little emotionally overwhelming for the feminine today. Now, in partnership, you're potentially seeing this masculine. You may even be identifying that, like, by having the feminine energy be in this space or place where they feel like they can be vulnerable, it's almost like creating an opportunity of the feminine having a lot of this like emotional like influx coming into play, you know, like that point of like easement that's coming through. But again, masculine is just doing everything on their part to continue to help the feminine energy in this vibration. It's like almost just trying to cultivate this energy to be in this space where they can feel open in this way, because like masculine energy is almost seeing like the immediate results for the feminine energy being in that point of easement and gratitude. And it's having a lot of energy right now on all of the energy around the divine partnership unions. Now, for masculine and feminine energy that are not in partnership right now, again, this is a bit different. For some of the masculine and feminine energy right now, we're almost seeing that this is a union that is coming into play here. This is masculine and feminine coming into some kinds of union here. And this is allowing for this moment that feels very positive. It feels very restorative. This is the masculine energy that we see that potentially provided to the feminine that level or degree of openness the feminine needed to see to get confirmation that this is a healthy, healed karmic connection. It's allowing for that point of healing to come in. It's allowing for that point of restoration. It is allowing a moment or a level right now that we're seeing that the feminine energy is now like kind of finally being able to express themselves in the way that they were effectively restricting themselves from expressing themselves prior to seeing that this was a positive karmic connection. And what we're effectively identifying here right now is the fact that for the feminine feeling like this is why we see some of this overwhelm coming in. Because there's some kind of level or degree of appreciation that you're getting right now from the masculine energy that's sharing with you in this degree, that's making you feel seen. It's making you feel valued. It's making you feel loved. It's making you feel appreciated. And it's making you feel a little overwhelmed. Like, is what we're really seeing here. Now, for the other part of the feminine collective right now, if this is that moment of breakaway, if this is that moment that you are identifying or recognizing that you basically called the masculine energy to task, you told them that you needed this level or degree of openness and you didn't necessarily receive it. You saw that masculine energy move away from you at this time. This is also feeling really restorative. Because again, there's something here about your own ability right now not to effectively chase after that energy, but to confront your own abandonment wound, potentially even with the energy around you right now, that is being very healing. Because what you're effectively doing right now is you're putting care of the self first. You're recognizing right now that to chase after an energy that's not ready to or willing to grow with you at this time doesn't feel like it would not be in your best interest, spiritually or emotionally. This is allowing you to put that care back into one place, which is back into your own self, recognizing your own value. And even in this right now, it's hard for that part of the collective right now because this is emotionally overwhelming. Because again, this is not the fact that you don't have care for that. It's more about the fact that you're choosing. You're making that choice to respect one's own self, to allow oneself to be in that space of emotional and spiritual healing rather than chasing after something that is bittersweet. Because again, you're effectively having to choose yourself and restrict your ability to give love to someone or give love to something that is not effectively returning it back in kind, because feminine energy is keeping their focus on what feels like it is restorative and what feels like it is reciprocal. What is giving back in kind? And this is for the feminine energy that's going through this part right now. It could be feeling a little emotionally overwhelming, but we see that feminine has a beautiful amount of support, or they're reaching out to those energies of support right now to help them as they navigate this. Masculine right now, you're effectively seeing this in the feminine. If you are in partnership at this time, again, you're creating the space. Masculine energy not in partnership at this moment. Again, this could be for a lot of the energies coming into union, is what we're seeing. Masculine, you were able to allow this to be an emotional maturation point. You opened yourself up to feminine this way. You put all your cards on the table. You opened up fully to the feminine, and you're immediately seeing that point of immediate easement that's coming through right now. And again, even now in that moment, it is feeling like you are seeing here the fact that you are seeing that reciprocity. It is immediately feeling like it is benefiting you and yourself, because you're immediately getting potentially that immediate expression from feminine that is showing that point of connectivity. Though we do see here something to be paid attention to as it relates to the energy right now that is not in partnership with the masculine. Because again, we do see the fact that the feminine energy that is in this vibration with the masculine coming back in right now, there may still be something that you are effectively seeing right now about the feminine energy hasn't necessarily, fully opened up in this degree or capacity here, because we see that there is something here that you're recognizing that the feminine energy is also having a hard time maintaining some of their own emotions on right now. You could be feeling, if you're feeling any of this like strange energy around the feminine right now, the masculine right now, if you're experiencing this energy right now with the masculine, it may feel a little confusing right now, because you may be feeling like there is something here with the feminine energy that emotionally you're still not necessarily sure or confident of, because we see here that this is a feminine energy that's coming into a state or space of vulnerability at this moment. For the masculine energy in separation at this time, we are also effectively saying, and I need to point this out again, for some of this is a moment that may also be feeling like some point of choice that had to come into play if you were in separation at this time, that is also needing to be navigated and experienced. Because for some of the masculine energy, this is characterizing itself as an emotional energy that is showing this ability to connect with you right now. They're showing that passion. You're seeing that passion here, but you're also seeing the fact that this energy is still feeling somewhat vulnerable. And when they're feeling vulnerable, it is hard for them to communicate their own emotionality at this time. Now, for the other part of the masculine, and you're effectively doing right now, you're doing this work to restore, to heal the connection, recognizing that you understand why the feminine energy may still be feeling a little restrictive in terms of opening up to you, because you effectively just opened up to the feminine energy, and it may take a little bit of time. Now, for the other part of the masculine energy at this moment that is effectively going through this at this time, this is effectively that moment of choosing one's own autonomy. You're allowing this to be a degree or point where you chose your autonomy at this moment. You're moving away from something. But again, even as you're moving away from it, you are learning a lot about your own self in the process. You are doing a lot of healing at this moment. You weren't necessarily in a state or place right now where you are ready to come into that point of alignment. And it is requiring for that energy right now that's going through this. This may feel like you need some time to recover from this to a certain extent. There's something here that we're almost seeing that is requiring this point of recovery. We're seeing that you're putting a lot of care and intention into the self right now, with your mind and your thought right now on your heart's desire, on what you want to move towards right now, with a lot of these lessons that you've effectively learned at this time, but also feeling potentially the fact that the moment that you've moved into right now has effectively required you to have this bit of letting go. We saw the fact that there were chapters that were effectively closing yesterday, potentially around masculine energy that was recognizing. We literally saw it coming into play. Masculine energy effectively recognizing that they were moving away from something and potentially immediately creating an unhealed karmic connection as they were doing so to preserve their own level and degree of autonomy at this moment. For some of that masculine energy right now, this is again feeling a little overwhelming and a little bittersweet, because what you've recognized potentially is that you're moving towards your heart's desire at this time at the cost of another energy. At the cost of another energy that you're effectively moving away from. And you're feeling that right now. You're feeling the fact that you had to kind of make this choice for yourself at this moment. And it wasn't necessarily one that is easy, because it is now making you ask yourself what it is that you're truly moving towards at this time. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now, between our Nine of Cups in combination with our Four of Swords. So, a moment right now, we like to see this energy here. This is feeling very positive, because what we're really identifying at this moment is, again, a feeling of deep appreciation, a lot of gratitude coming into the collective right now, but also a feeling of peace, a feeling of calmness. You know, there's something right now that's very important about sitting and enjoying and appreciating how far one has come. This is giving a lot of plateau energy. It's giving a lot of moment of really just coming into like this deeper sense of appreciation on just recognizing how far you've progressed. Maybe even having a moment today of like assessing the work that you've done over the last period of time, seeing how far you've come, building that appreciation. In partnership, this is really leaning on the security of the partnership and how foundational it feels right now that's allowing this point of easement to come into play. While for masculine and feminine energy that is not in partnership at this moment, this is going to feel like more of a point of catharsis. For feminine right now, this is again recognizing, getting back what you are seeking from masculine, and it's allowing this point of again like feeling the robustness of the satisfaction of that, while also a sense of peace. For the other part of the collective right now that did not necessarily receive that from masculine, this is building that appreciation of the self right now. This is recognizing and appreciating how much it has taken for you to get to this point where you appreciate yourself so much that you're not letting this trigger you, and you're not letting it bring you into a bad place. You're instead letting it become a point of recognizing your own degree and ability of appreciation of the self. And that is creating a sense of peace and catharsis, even through something that does require a point of healing. While for masculine right now, again, this is either you coming forward to feminine in this way, feeling and immediately appreciating, like almost immediately getting back from feminine in kind, immediately seeing it coming back towards you. And this is also creating some feeling of peace for you at this moment. While for the other part of the collective right now, this is a moment that we are seeing that, again, if this was a moment that you are effectively breaking away, breaking off, maintaining your own level of degree of autonomy at this time, this is a moment that is going to require more rest. Because for the masculine energy doing this right now, this is trying to build up your own sense of self right now, holding closely to what it is that you value and preserve right now, which is effectively not partnership. And this is also something, though, that you are leaning on right now and getting some support from the outside energy around you at this time as you try to take into consideration how much this is effectively cost at this moment, because we did see that there may have been some breakages right now as it relates to some karmic connections. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with double ace cards right now. This is feeling like a lot of victory coming in the air today. This is a lot of this energy of feeling like there has been some point of benchmark. There has been a point of easement. There has been a point of success for both masculine and feminine energy at this moment. Now, for all of the energies that we are seeing at play right now, there is this feeling of, again, some kind of milestone that has been crossed today. This is going to feel like a lot of like successful milestone energy. For the partnered energies right now, this is effectively potentially feeling like you've hit some kind of benchmark or you've hit some kind of milestone as it relates to the relationship at this time. There's a deep appreciation that's coming through right now that feels both like celebratory, but also restive. This could be why. This is like hitting that sweet point between both. This is like contentment here. Like these are the two cards of contentment. We've got like appreciating what one has, allowing for a point of rest that's just leading to a point of like immediate positivity and success. Thank you for the gift. While for the masculine and feminine energy that is not in partnership right now, this is some more of that catharsis that's coming into play. We did see yesterday for some of the masculine and feminine energy, there was a moment that was leading to a point that had to make the masculine energy decide what they effectively wanted. For some of the masculine energy, this was returning back towards the feminine, being open to the level of degree that they would ideally desire, coming forward in this way, opening up in this way, immediately allowing that energy to reciprocate the same way, creating a sense of easement, feeling that point of victory today. We're seeing that right now. For the other part of the masculine energy right now, this is that moment that you potentially allowed this to be that autonomy that you were holding on to at this time. You're moving away from something, but it wasn't necessarily something that was easy to move away from right now, because you're observing effectively the fact that you are still on a journey of your own healing at this time. And you're potentially observing what you need to change and adjust within the self at this time. As you continue forward, you're potentially even getting a lot of energy right now from outside. You're getting a lot of this support right now from the energy around you right now, this karmic and healing to help you through this right now, because you're effectively recognizing and understanding that you're moving away from a feminine energy that was available or accessible to you, but at a certain level that you were not necessarily ready to meet them at. This is now allowing you, again, a moment where you are putting a point of consideration into play in terms of what it is that you're truly seeking. You're thinking a lot about what your heart's desire is at this time. What's interesting about this for the masculine energy is even if this is you moving away from an energy right now, you're effectively having to ask yourself today. You're having to ask yourself today, why? Like, why are you effectively doing that? Why did you choose to do that? This is that moment that you are allowing this to be a point of degree right now that apologies, you are understanding right now that you are recognizing that there's something here that requires you to have a point of assessment, because what we're seeing here is this is almost creating right now for the masculine energy that is experiencing this at this time, that there's something that is very important that's coming into play about you identifying that you may not necessarily be sure what it is you are seeking. Because we did see that for a lot of the masculine energy that we saw was in this vibration right now, that a lot of what you're effectively departing from right now may have seemed perfect. It may have seemed like something that you are ideally recognizing should have been perfect, but it is creating a sense of inquiry in the self right now to help you really identify what it is that you are truly after at this time. This is where this healing is coming through right now for the masculine energy that's moving away from some feminine energy at this moment, because it is requiring you to really take a point of pause and consideration and rest so that you can effectively decide what it is that you're truly seeking and what you are truly after right now. Now, for feminine energy that's effectively in this vibration right now, what we're really seeing is happening at this time is this point that you are also, again, you receive this back from the masculine. You got back what you were hoping for. It's creating a point of immediate restoration. It's allowing you to kind of rest, put down your guard effectively, because feminine has been holding this like point of defensiveness for like a very long time, for weeks now. And this is a moment that allowing yourself not to feel like you have to be in such a guarded state is the point of success for the feminine at this time. For the other part of the feminine energy, if this is a moment that the feminine is recognizing that the masculine's walking away or moving away from them, this is, again, feminine being like copacetic with it. It's difficult. It's going to take a little bit of healing. Feminine's getting that support from the energy around them, but feminine is holding firm to what it is that they value, and that is also feeling like a point of success. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Four of Swords in combination with our Empress energy. So again, this is a very peaceful Empress energy that we're seeing coming in today. Feminine energy might not be like a lot of activity on the part of the feminine, because feminine energy is just kind of like in this point of easement, of restoration, of just kind of like allowing themselves to like move, like just like vibing on the vibes right now that like are allowing for some point of peace. For the masculine and feminine energy in partnership at this moment, this could be a lot of peaceful energy that is coming in right now into the partnership. Feminine is in a point right now where they're just kind of like, there's something the masculine has been doing right now that has just like been keeping the feminine energy in this space of like feeling seen, appreciated, valued, and it's like almost like the more masculine is recognizing. I need to stress this for some of the partnership energy. It's almost like recognizing that as long as like feminine is in this vibration, then like everything's fine. Everything feels peaceful. Everything can like, there's almost like a need, or like there's almost like a restive quality to things right now that is coming into play. Masculine, you're effectively seeing this, which is like great. You're like masculine, whatever you did yesterday to like restore that healing for the feminine that was feeling like a little offensive. It's like you saw it, you did it, it worked. There's something positive happening right now, even in the karmic energies. It's allowing the masculine to have a little bit of peace right now, and the feminine to have a little bit of peace too. Now, for masculine and feminine energy right now that is not in partnership right now, this is again feeling a little different, because what we're really seeing right now is for the feminine energy, this is a moment that you are effectively moving right now, and you're keeping your focus on what allows you to feel seen, appreciated, loved. This is something that, again, feminine energy is willing to wait. We ended yesterday with the Two of Wands, which was why we saw that the feminine energy was so okay with watching a masculine just walk out the door or walk away from them. Because feminine energy isn't chasing after a masculine to give them what they want. Feminine energy is recognizing that the masculine energy that wants to give them what they want will want to give them what they want. Feminine energy even recognized over the last few days a point of vacillation, because it wasn't even the fact that the masculine wasn't immediately, like, didn't identify what it is that the feminine wanted. It was the fact that they saw the masculine energy vacillating in terms of providing it, or in terms of moving into that like vibration, which immediately called feminine into question with the masculine to a certain extent. So for the feminine energy that's seeing this as a moment of masculine departing from them, feminine energy is allowing this to be a point of restoration for the self. They're not chasing after them, quite the opposite. They're just taking this as a point of rest, building this level or degree of security, and reminding themselves of their own value at this time. For the other part of the masculine feminine collective, this is a masculine having come forward to you in this way. Masculine did give you the thing that you were asking for, being open, being vulnerable. It's allowing for an immediate sense of appreciation and value and some peace right now. Maybe not a lot of activity right now, because feminine is like kind of at a point right now where it's like taking a bit of a breath, because like feminine was not sure if this would effectively happen. Okay? Masculine, you're seeing this right now. For the masculine energy that came forward to feminine right now, you're immediately feeling like that easement coming in almost immediately. You did this hard work. You opened up in this capacity. It's immediately allowing for just some feeling of enjoyment and peace and calm coming through, as you just kind of see the fact that the feminine energy is in this point of being like at this point of like really allowing like the passion to like fuel things going forward. Now, for the other part of the and again, I will point out that this is a feminine energy that like you may be seeing a lot of passion around it, but again, their own emotionality is still feeling like a little bit wavering, because we even saw there's some of the feminine energy in this vibration. Masculine just opened up in this way. And feminine's not like just completely opening up in the same degree, but feminine is kind of showing here some kind of observation to the masculine that there is this like connection point between them, that there is still love there. Like that's effectively what's happening here. It's like the feminine is kind of like letting the masculine know like there is still that love there. Now, for the masculine and the feminine, for the masculine that's effectively moving away from something right now, that this was that moment that was like the bridge too far to a certain extent. This was masculine maintaining their own level or degree of autonomy at this moment. This is a point. Masculine, you may be feeling exhausted right now if you're in this vibration, because breaking away in this way is almost requiring a point of rest for you at this time, because it's making you have to call into question what it is that you truly want. Because we see here that for a lot of this masculine, this is you effectively turning away from something that you may have seemed like it should have been what you wanted. We saw here that masculine was even recognizing the fact that you were potentially creating an unhealed karmic connection in the process. It's really making you have to take this point of rest, not even moving immediately towards new energy, but really asking yourself what it is that you want right now. You could even be having a lot of these conversations with some of the energy around you right now that may be asking you, what is it that you want? Because we're seeing here that the problem with the energy right now that's maintaining this point of autonomy is it's making you have to face the abandonment wound. And the masculine abandonment wound may be leading you to moving towards a lot of different things, but without actually understanding what it is that you're seeking in those things. This is requiring you to take a hard look at yourself at this moment to really identify what it is that you're trying to seek in the feminine, that you're effectively potentially moving away from one to another and not necessarily finding. This is building that point of orientation, and it's requiring a bit of restoration work for the self right now as you proceed forward from this point. Now, clarification between these two cards right now. 8 of Cups in its reversal. 8 of Cups in its reversal. So, for masculine and feminine right now, depending on whether you are in partnership or not at this moment, this is going to feel a little bit different, because what we're really identifying at this time is, again, for masculine and feminine energy that is in partnership at this moment, this is beautiful. This is beautiful energy. This is feeling that level or degree of easement right now around the connection, feeling the peace of the connection. And the peace is effectively creating a space or place of contentment to this point of feeling like, I don't want to go anywhere. I just want to stay here in this partnership, in this connection. Everything feels good. This feels like a nice spot to be, right? This is almost creating a space right now of like, just like restiveness that's reaffirming the positivity of the connection. You know, it's like looking at it right now. It's feeling it. It's like feeling that like point of being like, this is good. And it's almost like an anxiety of like trying to maintain it is what we're really seeing. Whatever this energy is, it's like, let's just like let this feeling like kind of like flow through and stay right now is what we're seeing in the partnership energy right now. Recognizing, I'm almost seeing here some of the energy, like there's some feelings of like, you know, almost like looking at the obligations that may be coming through later today or later this week or later this month and just being like, let's just put them aside right now and just like kind of stay in this energy. Now, for masculine and feminine energy that is not in partnership at this moment, this does feel a little bit different because what we're really seeing right now is for the masculine and feminine energy not in partnership. Feminine, again, you're immediately either seeing here the masculine coming forward in this way that you desired to see them come forward in. It's creating a feeling of being seen, being appreciated, being loved. It's allowing you a feeling of kind of rest because like you're being able to put your guard down because this is an energy that you didn't want to have your guard up to. You were doing it because you needed to see if it was a healthy, healed karmic connection. And this is effectively feminine energy. Identifying and articulating, maybe even reciprocating to the masculine energy that's coming towards them in this way. Their own desire and degree of not having, this is the feminine effectively having to explain to the masculine that they didn't want to walk away from them. But they needed to effectively stay in this vibration. That effectively, this is potentially for some of the feminine right now in this modality. This is potentially having to explain to the masculine their own perspective, why they had to feel like they were in a point right now where they were kind of allowing someone to walk away, but they were really hoping that they wouldn't. For masculine right now, if this is something that you are effectively seeing from the feminine, if you opened up in this degree, this is potentially you also expressing to the feminine your own. You might even be apologizing right now to the feminine and being like, I know I went back and forth, but I'm committed. You're trying to reaffirm this feminine energy that you truly don't want to walk away from this, that you don't want to walk away from them, that they are truly your heart's desire, that this is what you want to build in terms of that union energy that we are seeing right now. Okay? Now, for the other part of the masculine energy right now, feminine energy right now that's effectively going through this, this is why this is coming through as more as the point of catharsis, because this is not necessarily something that you saw from the masculine. You are waiting for them to provide it for you. They potentially moved in the other direction. And this is why the feminine energy that's in this vibration right now may be taking some time to rest, because this is not necessarily what the feminine energy ideally desired. This is not what the feminine energy hoped for. Feminine energy is focusing right now on their own care of themselves, their own love of themselves. They're putting that back into their own cup. But it's also really hard because we're seeing here that this is something that the feminine energy effectively didn't want to walk away from, but that the feminine energy required the masculine energy to show that same level or degree of openness, to be allowing for something to come forward in a productive way. So this is feeling a bit more frustrating for the feminine energy in this vibration right now, which is why we're seeing that they're getting a lot of that support from the karmic energy that's around them right now. Because even now, feminine energy is potentially even holding on to the hope that the masculine energy may recalibrate and be able to come forward towards them in this capacity. Feminine energy is effectively allowing this to be almost like a patience point as they wait to see if that might be the case. But again, continuing to focus on the self and the process. Masculine that's in this vibration right now, we are effectively seeing at this time that you are also in this moment. That again, this is either that openness coming towards the feminine, understanding that mutual appreciation and ready to do this work together, or this is a moment that masculine, you chose your own autonomy at this moment, you moved forward. It's requiring some rest. Because as I said, there's a deeper abandonment wound that's being faced right now that's making you have to ask yourself what it is that you are truly seeking. And for some of this energy right now, this is a moment that this is a lot of work right now in terms of really visualizing this for yourself at this moment. It's requiring you to go somewhat internal at this time. Because what we're really seeing right now is, again, this is something that you're either aspiring to, this is something that you're like trying to like picture in your own head looking forward right now, or this is energy that you cannot let go. This is energy from the past that you cannot let go of. So there's almost a point right now of calibration that the masculine energy that is choosing their own autonomy at this moment is going through right now, to really ask themselves if their heart's desire is something that they see ahead of them or if it's something that they saw behind them. because this is a masculine energy that's actually moving from a point of a lot of confusion right now. They're confronting the fact that they may not necessarily know what it is that they're looking for, but now they're back to looking for it. And this is leading to the masculine energy right now, trying to identify what that heart's desire is. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between the Empress energy in combination with the Queen of Cups. Feminine right now, this is feeling a little bit emotionally overwhelming. I'm going to say for the feminine right now, it's like giving me a lot of energy of feeling like so much abundance right now, so much of this like passionate energy coming through that it may feel a little overwhelming right now. You may not necessarily know where to put it, is what we're really seeing. For the feminine that's going through this right now, and again, this is also, I will point out, for some of the feminine right now, this could be a moment that you are potentially even helping other feminine energy that is in this state of overwhelm. There's a lot of reciprocity that's coming through right now for some of this feminine energy. So this is feminine energy either doing this within or actually doing it for some of the feminine energy around them at this time. This is that supportive system that we like to see, okay? Now, for masculine and feminine energy in partnership at this moment, this is potentially a moment right now, or again, you are allowing this space or place for the feminine. You're almost potentially seeing that the feminine energy may need some point of emotional expression at this time, but you're allowing this space for it because like you're seeing the fact that like it's helping feminine energy maintain this point of staying in a passionate center at this time. There may even be for some of the feminine energy right now having some conversations with masculine around some energy and feeling some of these connection points and needing it. This is more of that outside karmic work that we are identifying that's happening right now. Feminine could even be identifying to masculine right now concerns around outside feminine energy that feels like they need this level or degree of support at this time too. For masculine, this is building that point right now and navigating this, but feeling a lot of this supportive energy in the partnership that's helping you through this work. For masculine and feminine energy right now that is not in partnership, this is going to feel very different. Because again, for feminine energy right now, if this is masculine energy that's effectively opened up to you to this level and degree, they've shown you this ability to mature, they've shown you this ability to want to work on healing, healthy karmic connections. This is something that we see that it's almost like immediately observing to this energy right now, that you have this capacity of care and love for them. That this is not something that effectively went away or has gone away, but you have your own points of emotional trepidation here. There's something here that's feeling somewhat emotionally overwhelming for the feminine in this way, because you have to bear in mind that this is potentially feminine energy that was asking for something from masculine, and it wasn't something that was freely given, right? It wasn't something that was freely given. So that's creating some of that point of trepidation for the feminine right now, even though they are also potentially opening up and expressing their own feeling of care. Now, for the other part of the feminine collective right now, this is potentially the masculine having made the choice to move away, to walk away, to maintain their own autonomy. You're watching it happen. You see what is occurring. Even if the masculine hasn't articulated on it, you're recognizing that this is the case. You are seeing this right now, and it is very emotionally overwhelming because it's effectively making you have to confront or close your own heart space to a certain degree in order to preserve your own care of the self, in order to preserve your own value of the self. It feels a little bit more triggering because it is something here where you're feeling the emotional overwhelm of seeing someone make the choice that you wish they would not make. And that is something that, again, for a lot of the feminine energy right now, you may be getting support from those around you as you're feeling experiencing this, because you're recognizing and you're trying to maintain the value of the self at this moment. For some of the feminine energy, you may be seeing this in other feminines, and you may be reinforcing that to the feminine energy as well. Masculine, feeling this right now, this is the masculine energy that we're effectively seeing again. This is masculine energy, again, either opening up to a feminine that's like still being hesitant in terms of their emotions. You understand why. You're doing everything you can to start to heal that connection. Whoop, as the card flies off the table. For the other part of the masculine collective right now, this is that bittersweet feeling in recognizing that you may, if you just moved away from something in this capacity, you may have just damaged a karmic connection. You may have just had to effectively put someone in a point of emotional overwhelm as you continue to chase after your heart's desire. But it's requiring you a point of healing too, because now you're suddenly recognizing and understanding and asking yourself what that is. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now. 2 of Cups in its reversal. Now, this is very intriguing right now because, again, what we're really seeing here is for masculine and feminine energy right now that is working right now through any issues as it relates to partnership. We're seeing here for the partnered energies right now, there's something that is very deep that is happening, because the partnered energies at this moment are effectively not necessarily, they're not just in a space or a place where they're navigating what is effectively occurring around and within them right now. But it's also putting this point of recalibration in terms of what needs to be effectively changed to allow for more reciprocal energy in partnership. There could even be a moment right now for the feminine energy and the masculine energy that's effectively going through this right now that is requiring this point of observation in terms of situations and circumstances that they feel are productive, that feel like they're working, they're moving in that positive capacity, versus situations that need this point of healing. For feminine right now that is going through this right now, we are seeing that for the feminine, there is potentially even a moment that is occurring right now as it relates to some feelings of overwhelm, feeling like you are overly burdened. You're feeling a lot of this emotional energy at this time. It is potentially making you have to look right now, again, both within the partnership that you're currently in at this time, and also in potentially anything that you feel outside partnerships that you're in connection to at this moment, to ask yourself how to create a better sense of balance, because we are seeing that this is a feminine energy right now that may be feeling some sense of emotional overwhelm at this time. There may be something about the feminine needing to consolidate their own energy at this time to be able to move into a space or place where they're not necessarily feeling this point of overwhelm as they're feeling this point of abundance at this moment. Masculine and feminine energy right now that are working in partnership maybe taking this moment right now to really ask what can be done to make the partnership feel more equitable. There may even be a moment right now that is being identified in partnership right now that is requiring the feminine energy and masculine to look at these spaces and places that may be creating some of this overwhelm in the feminine to be able to come into better balance and partnership at this moment. This is a lot of that positive self-work that we see that is coming into partnership right now, moving into more productive spaces. Now, for masculine right now, this could be potentially a moment that you're lending guidance to a feminine energy that is in this modality, where you see that, again, there's a lot of passion here, but there are some points of emotional overwhelm that's occurring. And you're either having to help them navigate some partnerships around the relationship right now that may need some amending, or maybe even seeing where feminine energy is over investing themselves in things that don't necessarily come through as reciprocal at this time. So there's a lot of work right now that we see that the partnerships are doing, but with a lot of keen observation in terms of maintaining a point of balance at this moment. And there may even be a point about the point of balance being reached today that is allowing this point of easement to delve deeper into some of these situations and circumstances. Now, for masculine and feminine energy that is not in partnership at this moment, this is going to feel very different, okay? Because what we're really identifying right now for the masculine and feminine energy that is not in partnership is, again, for some of the energy right now, this is what we see is allowing a point of coming into partnership. This is feminine looking towards the masculine right now, having received what they needed to receive as it relates to the masculine opening up in this degree. Feeling some point of overwhelm right now, but also feeling that point of overwhelm in terms of looking at the partnership itself. There's potentially even anxiety and fear coming into play here, because I will point out one of the things that we identified around some of this energy right now in the collective was the anxiety of the feminine feeling like this is not something that the masculine immediately came towards them with. It's not something that the masculine rushed to the feminine with. It almost felt like the masculine was pulling away prior to them coming forward in this way. Feminine energy is in a moment right now where they're feeling grateful to masculine coming forward in this capacity, but they're also still feeling anxiety. They're feeling anxiety around the partnership. They're feeling anxiety around the stability of the partnership, specifically because we identify that this is a moment that feminine is just now seeing this in the masculine. So even as feminine is trying to open their heart space right now, there is still some trepidation about their full emotional expression, because there's still some anxiety about the stability of the partnership that is now starting to form. Masculine, the other part of the feminine connection right now, this is that moment that you saw the masculine energy move away from you. You potentially asked this from them, you moved away, you're feeling the emotional overwhelm because you're recognizing and feeling the fact that the partnership was not there. This is that point of healing that is coming into play, that you may even be getting outside support from right now as you go through it, because you're effectively identifying that this has occurred. Masculine right now that's effectively going through this right now, this is also a moment that, again, if you're opening up to the feminine in this capacity, you are recognizing and understanding that the feminine energy, even while they're opening up emotionally or passionately to you right now, they're still kind of closed off from their emotional perspective, or they're feeling a bit of emotional overwhelm, because you are recognizing the fact that the partnership needs to be healed. That the partnership is potentially in a place that requires healing, but has not been healed. And this is effectively having to come into a state or space of really concentrating on trying to build the partnership back up with feminine by making them feel emotionally safe again. For the other part of the masculine collective right now that chose to stay in a space or place of autonomy, this is having that moment of recognizing what this choice of autonomy has effectively cost you. Because what we're really seeing at this time is there's something about this feminine energy right now that you are experiencing or feeling, that your own choice to move away from them has immediately closed them off from you emotionally. You're going after your heart's desire right now, or trying to figure out what that is, but you're also immediately feeling the fact that you had to effectively break off a connection. What could have been potentially even a very equal, equitable connection, for the sake of chasing after your heart's desire, which is why the masculine energy that's still in a point of autonomy is doing a lot of this deeper work right now to try to understand. This is a point of internal assessment and understanding, to really ask what one is truly seeking, so that they can move into what would feel like something that would be equal for them going forward. But this is taking a lot of work on the part of the singular masculine right now that is breaking away from partnership at this moment, because it's making you really ask yourself what it is you're truly seeking. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Ace of Swords in combination with our Eight of Cups in its reversal. For feminine and masculine, all sides right now, this is a point of victory, but it is difficult. For masculine and feminine partnership right now, it's not as difficult. It's more this moment of really feeling the confidence of the partnership, saying basically to yourselves, I don't want to go anywhere. This is great. This is exactly where I want to be. And that in itself is the victory. It's almost allowing you now to observe other blockages in other areas, because like everything in the partnership is feeling so copacetic that it's just like bringing that sense of victory to other things as well. While for masculine and feminine energy right now that is not in partnership, this is going to feel a bit different, because we are effectively seeing here that for the feminine, this is again either masculine showing you some level of degree. They basically said, I don't want to leave. I'm willing to like make the changes. I'm willing to heal this connection because I don't want to leave. That's a point of success. The other part of the feminine energy right now, this is coming through as a refusal to compromise. This is coming through as a feminine energy refusing to compromise the care of the self. And as difficult as that is, and as difficult as that is to do, like in feminine energy not wanting to walk away from something, it still feels bittersweet, because that's the choice and that's the point of victory. Feminine energy preserving the feminine's care of self over an energy that is not showing a degree or ability to want to be immediately move into partnership with them. Masculine right now that is not in partnership, this is again that moment where we are seeing that you are immediately either feeling the victory, you're going towards the feminine that was asking you to open up to this degree, you're opening up in that fashion, you're telling them in some way, shape, or form, I do not want to leave this, and you're immediately getting the victory from doing so. For the other part of the masculine energy right now, what we're effectively seeing is this is a moment that, again, something about even now, while you're having this point of resistance, while you're potentially even moving away from something, you are recognizing your own point of resistance. You are recognizing something in the self. You are asking yourself potentially, why am I walking away from this when I shouldn't be? That's also giving you that clarity. That is also a breakthrough point. May I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our Fool energy. This guy look familiar? Does this guy look familiar? He was here yesterday. This is beautiful, because it means that there's new journeys moving forward from this point. This is, like I said, remember that plateau I mentioned? This is the leaping off, taking that new leap of faith into something different. What we're really seeing here, Masculine and feminine energy right now that's in partnership. It is this moment, the security that the partnership is building, the refusal to leave the partnership, recognizing the blockages, taking them out like beyond the relationship itself, just trying to clear hurdles together. That's like the power of the union, the divine union energy. Just allowing this to be a moment of taking a new approach to things. It's allowing for new perspectives. It's allowing for new possibilities as you move forward in this way. It's allowing for so much positivity to come through here. For masculine and feminine energy not in partnership right now, it will feel a bit different. Now, again, for the energies that this is looking like this is becoming a movement into union, it is the recognition that you are doing this right now. It is the affirmation to each other that you don't necessarily want to walk away from something, willing to put in the work to heal the karmic connection, masculine opening up in this level. That is allowing for new possibilities, it may feel like brand new energy coming in, even if this was an old situation or circumstance, because it's like a whole new approach from a whole new perspective that's allowing whole new possibilities in the partnership, because it's an actual union connection. It's two energies completely open and vulnerable to one another. For the masculine and feminine energy. For the feminine energy that's feeling this right now, you're seeing this. You're seeing the fact that there's a breakthrough that's occurred in the partnership. Masculine opening up to you in this capacity that's allowing for a fresh new start. For masculine that's opening up in this capacity, this is also recognizing that what you thought was a sacrifice is actually opening up a whole new realm of possibilities that you didn't take into consideration before, which is also a brand new start. While for the feminine energy, that is seeing this as the masculine energy walking away from them or moving away from them. This is, again, it's going to feel like a bit harder, but it is going to feel more like a personal victory. It's a personal victory because effectively you're seeing the masculine energy that's moving away from you like this as a bit of a lost cause. As a bit of a lost cause. It's clarified to you something. And feminine energy is effectively, like I said, feminine energy is in a state or space right now where like they're telling themselves they don't want to wait for this energy, but they're also not going to wait for this energy. It's not something where they want to leave this, but they're not going to let it stop them from going forward themselves. Feminine energy is taking this as a movement forward into their own unknown and getting a lot of support from the karmic energy around them as they do so. While for masculine right now, because for feminine right now, this is that point that, again, they don't want to chase after the masculine to get this. They want a masculine that's going to give this to them with open arms. For masculine right now, if you are not moving into partnership at this moment, this is also feeling very different, because even if you're moving away from a partnership at this time, you are doing it with a different set of optics in terms of what it is that you're seeking. Because there's an observation point that you're effectively making within yourself right now, that you are really recognizing something that needs to change within the self at this moment, something that you need to adjust. You've recognized your own wall. You've recognized your own hurdle. You've recognized something that might be on the other side of something that you hadn't necessarily considered before. Thank you for the gift. And this is that moment that you're really having to focus right now. You're not just going forward willy-nilly. You're going forward potentially focusing on what your heart's desire is. And even this is allowing for a new approach, because it's giving you a whole new perspective. So even if you're moving away from something right now, you're feeling the sadness because, again, you're moving away from something you realize or recognize you really shouldn't have moved away from. But it's also like clarified to you in your heart space, like what it is that you truly desire. And this is you kind of taking that like movement now towards your heart's desire in a way that you haven't before. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our 8 of Cups in its reversal in combination with our 2 of Cups in its reversal. Now, for masculine and feminine energy that is in partnership right now, there's potentially a lot of work that is being done right now around some circumstances or situations to see if there can be some partnerships that are either, again, situations in the relationship that can feel like they can get into a space of easement, allowing for even greater partnership going forward, but also potentially recognizing any hurdles. There may even be right now some points of resistance around some things that need to be accommodated or changed right now that are potentially creating blockages for one person or another, but they don't necessarily want to let go of right now. But there may be some observations of what either needs to be accommodated in the partnerships so that they become easier, or they might need to necessarily be like relinquished. Masculine and feminine are just trying to like knock down like a lot of these walls right now that are like effectively making it harder for them to like come into like better union or like maintaining partnership. And there's a lot of observation right now of potentially what needs to be affected or changed right now to maintain that point going forward. Masculine and feminine energy right now that is not in partnership. Again, this is one of those trigger points that we're seeing, because for feminine right now, feminine is still, even for the masculine energy that's moving into partnership with feminine at this time, there's still a lot of anxiety around that partnership. There's still a lot of anxiety. There's still a lot of fear. Feminine energy is effectively potentially worried that masculine may change their mind. This was a masculine energy that was vacillating. It was going back and forth like this. Feminine energy saw it. And that's why feminine energy is still feeling this point of anxiety going forward on this right now. Other part of the feminine energy right now, this is a moment that if the masculine walked away, I feel like for the feminine right now, feminine energy is feeling the frustration and the anger. They're working through it. They're taking them time to rest right now, because they're keeping their focus on what feels like an equitable partnership. And it's very hard for the feminine, because this is feminine not wanting to walk away from something, but feeling at the same time that there isn't an equal partnership here. Feminine energy struggling through this emotionally, but they're getting support as they do so. Masculine right now that's not in partnership, this is either, again, you effectively going back to the feminine. This was that turn. Remember that turn I said with the Fool yesterday, coming back to the feminine? This is masculine taking that turn, going back to the feminine, saying, I don't want to leave this, but recognizing that there's a lot of healing that needs to come into play on how to fix it. This is that moment of recognizing what needs to be healed. For the other part of the masculine energy, this is masculine energy effectively, again, walking away from something that they're asking themselves, what am I doing? Why did I just do that? Why am I moving away from something that I shouldn't move away from? Because masculine is now thinking heavily about partnership right now if they're choosing to maintain their own autonomy at this time. May I please have one card to clarify? And it's because masculine's trying to move towards their heart's desire. Lovers in its reversal. Very important. So, for masculine and feminine energy right now that is working in union and working in partnership, there's something much deeper that's effectively coming into play right now. Because what we're really seeing right now for the energy that is in partnership is there's almost like a lot of deep appreciation right now in terms of anything that you feel is potentially blocking the union or the partnership itself. There may be a lot of work that is put in today in terms of having some of this point of easement coming through in identifying things that you feel that are either having a positive impact in the partnership at this moment versus spaces or places that you feel are causing hurdles, causing limitations, causing blockages. There's even potentially feeling right now that there may be some practical situations or circumstances right now that are creating hurdles in the partnership at this moment. But there's this point of observation to really identify them so that they can come into a state or place of easement. So there may be a lot of hard discussions right now potentially arising even in partnership at this moment about partnership itself to allow for this point of reframing. And it may not necessarily have to do just with the partnership itself. It may have to do with some of the things that the obligations outside of the partnership. It may have to do with feeling like someone has too many obligations, or there may need to be some accommodations made because something is affecting the partnership right now that may not necessarily even be inside the partnership. Now, for masculine and feminine energy that is not in partnership right now, we are seeing that this is a point that may be feeling like much more difficult because, again, feminine energy is still feeling some doubts and fears right now as it relates to how this masculine energy is come towards them at this point. Feminine energy has a lot of love for the energy right now, but they're holding back on their own emotional center to a certain extent because feminine energy is trying to learn how to trust this right now. Feminine energy is being more vulnerable, but like even now, feminine energy is feeling the anxiety or the fear that there may be something around this energy right now that was calling them away from them. For some of the feminine right now, one of the points of anxiety was feeling like that point of vacillation that they saw with the masculine that was going back and forth on this was some doubts and fears around potentially even outside connections beyond the partnership with feminine. Like there's a feeling here that like, again, there's been some points, and this could even be, I need to stress, this could even be the fact that for a lot of the masculine energy, we did point out that the masculine energy had to fully open up to the feminine as to relates to the circumstances and situations that they find themselves in that are around them, or would have happened in the intervening time if this is past situations coming back into connection. What has happened in the intervening time between the time of the partnership and the time that it's now in connection? Feminine energy is effectively trying to potentially even integrate and weigh some of the information that they received of that. Because while they may now feel the point that there's a point of healing that's coming through on this, there is something here that may still feel like it needs to be addressed. It needs to be considered. It needs to be taken into some point of accountability here. And the feminine energy, even now, even if they're allowing the masculine energy to be a moment of potentially coming into partnership at this time, because the masculine showing this ability to be open in this way and to heal the connection, there is something here about having to still address some of this energy or to work through it right now that hasn't been fully completed, that's also potentially feeling like a bit of a blockage as it relates to like fully coming into union at this time. Now, for the masculine, for the other part of the feminine collective right now, if this is a moment that you are seeing masculine energy walking away from you at this time, if this is something that you asked masculine for and instead they moved in the opposite direction, this is feeling doubly difficult right now. Because there's something about this that feels like it is extremely final. This is feeling like there's something here that like on every level is giving you the indications that like there can't be a partnership possibility here. But it's also very hard because you don't necessarily want to walk away from it is what we're seeing. It's making you have to have a moment right now that again, feminine energy is at a point right now that they're focusing on their own sense of self. They're focusing on their own sense of care. Because the feminine energy that's in this vibration right now, you may even be telling yourself right now, like, I don't need partnership. I don't need partnership at all. Feminine energy is navigating this by saying, like, I'm not even going to think about partnership right now. It's the last thing I want. Because feminine energy is feeling a lot of this potential frustration right now around masculine energy that's effectively done this to some extent. But feminine energy is also recognizing that something about the way that this was broken through right now is giving every indication that this could not be a divine union, because feminine energy is also, again, working through divine union, wanting energy that wants to be in divine union. You can't force a divine union. It just has to come together. It has to be mutually accepted and desired. And this is a feminine energy that is feeling the frustration because they really wanted to see this from the masculine. And not seeing this from the masculine is making it doubly hard for the feminine because they really wanted to see it. And feminine's just at a point of recognizing it. It hurts, but they're also like not letting it block them, because feminine energy is effectively either choosing the self right now because they don't want to come into something that doesn't feel equal, and they don't want to come into something that doesn't feel like it's a divine partnership. Masculine, if you're going through this right now, this is a moment, if you are working back into union with energy, you're coming back to it. But you're also recognizing how completely broken it is. You're potentially like coming back into something and recognizing how much repair work something effectively needs at this time. You're committing yourself to it, but you're also like realizing and assessing and recognizing how much work it's going to take to get from one point to another right now, which is so difficult. But you're also committing yourself to the work of restoration to try to convince the energy that you're now feeling like there's still a broken partnership around, that you are committed to this. And may even have to be putting some accountability in terms of outside partnerships that you may have now had to like open up to from the energy, because again, we saw that a lot of this was about being forward and forthright. That it's either happened in the intervening time or giving some full degree of understanding. All of this stuff, you're just looking at all of this right now and really kind of focusing on how to make something fixed or how to work something through. For the other part of the masculine collective right now, this is you effectively breaking away from something, choosing one's own autonomy, specifically because we saw that you didn't want to open up in that way, shape, or form. The problem that we're effectively seeing right now for the masculine energy in this vibration is that there's something deeper that's now coming into play that's building a point of anxiety for you as to whether you'll ever be in divine union. Because masculine energy that's going through this right now, this is, again, a moment of question of self. Masculine energy that has chosen autonomy over this right now understands that they just potentially moved away from something that looked, in all intents and purposes, like it should have been ideal, but they didn't choose it. They didn't move towards it. They moved away from it. Masculine energy has the optics on this right now. And now masculine energy is doing that deeper work of, again, moving towards their heart's desire, or understanding or trying to identify what this is within the self, but then also asking themselves right now, do they want partnership? Do they want divine union? Because they're seeing right now, for the masculine right now, there is this moment that is really kind of calling into question right now what it is that they're truly seeking. There's almost a masculine energy right now that is realizing that it is getting harder and harder to move into connection right now without divine union. And this is why we see that for some of the masculine energy right now, this is starting to feel more like an effort of being kind of pushed into a point of growth right now. Because you're effectively understanding and recognizing that this is a limitation in the self, that you're now asking yourself, like, do you want to be in partnership, or are you going to continue to move in this space of autonomy, like ad infinitum? Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now. Final card for today's spread. Clarification between our Fool card in combination with our Lover's card in its reversal. So again, for masculine and feminine energy right now that is in partnership, we are seeing that today may be spent today really assessing situations or circumstances, feeling some of the limitations in terms of the separations in the partnership at this time, be they metaphysical or practical, to come into better union. This is potentially even taking new approaches to heal some of these hurdles that are blocking or preventing you from feeling like you are in like that higher point of union. So a lot of work potentially on the relationships themselves right now. Or I need to stress, maybe not necessarily even in the partnerships right now, but in the partnerships around the partnerships, because we see that there's a lot of karmic energy coming into play around partnerships right now that are allowing new approaches, not just in the partnerships themselves that need correction, but in any of those viable connections or related to the partnership at this time that feel like they need some new approaches taken to them. While for the masculine and feminine energy that is not in partnership right now, this is very different. For feminine right now, if you're experiencing this, this is potentially masculine energy coming back in towards you at this time. But it's also like shaking your own ability or trust in the partnership at this moment. It's requiring a new start. And if this is old energy, there's a lot of addressing of past issues. There's a lot of having to discuss how to have this be a new start, finding that point of building a better connection going forward. It can almost feel like a brand new relationship. Now, for the masculine and feminine energy right now that is not moving into partnership, this is going to feel very different, because what we're really seeing here is, again, for feminine right now, this is the moment, and this is the problem. I have to stress it. Feminine that's in this saw the fact that masculine gave some indication of potentially moving away or going away from it. That's what the problem is with the partnership right now. The feeling that masculine may still be in that vibration is still very heavily there for the feminine. For the other part of the feminine right now, this is a moment that you saw the masculine energy do this. You saw the masculine energy just move away in this capacity, in this degree, leave the partnership. And you're dealing with the fact that their movement away already proves that this can't be a divine union. It cannot be a higher line partnership. So this is, again, either a point of healing and catharsis for the feminine, getting a lot of support and standing the victory of like recognizing that someone showed you that they couldn't be in divine union with you, or this is feminine feeling the victory of this energy coming towards you at this time, but also like assessing all of the repair work necessary between here and there. Masculine that's going through this right now, this is a moment that, again, this is either you coming back towards a partnership. You are taking a new approach to partnership. You're being more open than you have. It's feeling like a lot of this fresh start that we're seeing. You're taking new approaches at this time. But you're also recognizing, if you're trying to move back into partnership, how much needs to be healed as you do so. While for the other part of the masculine collective right now, this is the internal crisis that masculine is currently feeling at this time, because this is potentially a masculine energy that moved away from something that was giving every indication that there was something here that could have been built. And masculine energy is now recognizing that as they move away from something, they are needing to face and ask themselves if they truly desire union at all, or if they want to stay content in staying in their own autonomy ad infinitum. May I please have one card to clarify? Star in its reversal. Now, one of the things that we identified right now, again, for masculine and feminine energy in partnership at this time is in a moment or feeling some point where they're feeling some level or degree of vulnerability. There's a lot of energy right now about the feminine trying to make sure that they're not in a state or space of overwhelm at this time. Feminine energy going through this right now may be having to communicate anxiety to the masculine about their own feeling of vulnerability at this moment. I'm not surprised to see this right now, because when we've got the combination of the Queen of Swords in its reversal, the Queen of Cups in its reversal, and then the Star in its reversal, it's like, yes, the combination of feminine becoming vulnerable and then becoming emotionally vulnerable potentially could be a lot of the feminine energy expressing to the masculine right now in partnership their own doubts, their own fears, their own vulnerabilities that prevent them from feeling like they can be their most open, honest, authentic expression of self at this time. Masculine, you may be seeing this right now from the feminine, and you may be guiding or providing some guidance to the feminine in terms of taking new approaches on this. You may even be taking new approaches for yourself as well to help amend for what may be causing some of these points of friction as it relates to the partnership at this time. This may not necessarily even relate to the partnership itself at this moment, but maybe even the joint effort energies working in union in terms of identifying how to amend things going forward to be able to build this ability for the feminine to maintain a point of balance. A lot of concentration right now being paid in partnership to making sure that feminine is in a space or state where they feel just vulnerable enough to be passionate, but not vulnerable enough that they feel guarded. This is like pouring water in a cup to a certain extent right now for the masculine and feminine energy that is in partnership at this moment. While for masculine and feminine energy, and it's taking new approaches on both sides. There's something here about doing something in ways you haven't done before, but it's leading to, again, feminine energy may be coming through this right now with some feeling of trying to articulate to the masculine their own doubts, their own fears, but recognizing by doing that right now, they're trying to create something that feels more productive going forward. Now, masculine and feminine energy that is not in partnership at this time, this is a moment that is feeling much more triggering because there's something about the approach that the masculine took in terms of coming towards feminine in this capacity that already has the feminine feeling like their guard is up. We see that because this is a feminine energy that potentially watched the masculine energy vacillate in terms of doing this work. This is feminine energy allowing the masculine energy potentially in that is showing this level or degree of wanting to commit in this capacity right now if this is moving towards partnership. But this is a feminine energy that's still feeling very hesitant towards the masculine, because feminine is effectively looking towards the masculine and feeling like there may be something that feels somewhat flaky around it. They're worried about the masculine energy not taking this as seriously or coming in or showing this level of degree of coming in and going back out, coming back in again, going back out. There's something here about the feminine energy seeing the masculine in this like modality that immediately, even if the feminine energy is seeing this right now and they're opening themselves back up towards this energy, they're feeling they're feeling vulnerable, but not in a positive way. This is a feminine energy that is showing that amount of physical, passionate expression, but with their guard up, almost allowing the masculine energy. The success for this energy is that the feminine energy is giving them the opportunity to prove that what they are saying, their openness, is valid, is true. For the other part of the feminine energy right now, this is effectively seeing the masculine energy moving away from you in this way. You see them going off in your degree. You asked them, you brought them to task, you told them what you needed. They've given you every indication that they don't want partnership, or they certainly don't want divine partnership. And this is that moment that is feeling very difficult for the feminine, because feminine energy is trying to wrestle with the fact that even as they're making this choice to choose themselves at this moment, there is something about feeling underseen, underappreciated, undervalued by the energy that's doing this right now, which is effectively, in a way, almost eliminating the capacity or ability for them to come back into you and your partnership. This is more of that feminine energy, just effectively letting these things go, and they themselves going off on their new journey. They're not letting themselves wait for this energy because of how they felt, how they feel, how they continue to feel. Masculine, this is effectively that moment that we're potentially seeing right now, that you're recognizing that this is occurring. There may even be an energy right now that you're recognizing that, like, you know, there's something here that we are calling into question right now for masculines that are in this vibration. Again, either you are moving towards feminine in this way, you're opening up, you gave the feminine what they ideally desired and needed at this time, and it's still creating a space or place that is hard because you see the fact that the feminine energy is still very hesitant to let you back in. They're feeling like they have a lot of vulnerability. They have their guard up here. And this is something where you're recognizing that you're trying to take new approaches to prove to this energy that you are, in fact, invested in a divine union with them. For the other part of the masculine collective right now, this is a lot of that internal work that's effectively happening. And it's going to feel a bit twofold, because what we're really seeing is happening right now is for the masculine energy that's doing this right now. This is effectively masculine energy walking away from something that, like, had the promise of divine union, but they decided that they ultimately did not want to choose divine union at this time as they move towards their own heart's desire. Now, for some of the masculine energy right now that's doing this or going through this at this degree, you are also recognizing that this is internal work that's happening. You're also recognizing the fact that, like I said, there may even be some unhealed karmic energy that you're just creating on the spot, because what you're doing right now might not necessarily even make sense around the energy that's around you at this time. It's making you kind of call into question your own self right now and what it is that you're truly seeking. Because what we're really seeing here for a lot of this masculine energy is the fact that this is either a moment that the masculine energy is effectively questioning or asking themselves if they truly desire partnership, if that's something that they actually want to move into right now, or if ever. Or this is masculine energy potentially fixing on the heart's desire at this time, but feeling some anxiety or fear that that accessibility point is not available to them. That there may even be something here that they are working to try to remedy or correct right now, because again, this focus on the heart's desire is showing the fact that something about this feels like it is not immediately accessible or available in some way, shape, or form right now. It's the masculine. So there's a lot of this internal work that we see that this energy is doing right now, especially if they're moving away from partnership at this time, to really ask themselves not just what they're trying to move towards, but what it is that they're actually ultimately internally seeking. Bottom of the deck on this reading right now is Seven of Wands in its reversal. And I actually love seeing this bottom of the deck because this is the point of catharsis that we see is coming through around these right now. For the feminine energy that's seeing masculine energy moving away from them at this capacity. This is why feminine energy is letting that energy go. Because feminine energy recognizes that they do not want, or nor can they fight someone to enter into divine partnership. Feminine energy recognizes that they cannot ask someone to choose. Like, that is not something you can drag someone into. It's something that someone needs to willingly come into. That's the point of easement that feminine is giving themselves, that point of catharsis, if they're seeing the masculine moving away from them in this way. Now, for masculine and feminine energy that is in partnership, this is just looking for ways and places to make the partnership easier. There is something here about having a lot of external factors at play, which are causing issues in the partnership. Just trying to find that like point of like clearing those hurdles is like name of the game right now. For feminine energy right now that is seeing masculine energy coming towards them in this way, this is feminine energy actually still asking themselves if they're making the right choice. Because while feminine energy was asking this from masculine, it was the point of vacillation that is now given the feminine energy pause, even if they're receiving this right now. And this is that moment that even while feminine energy is allowing a certain degree of vulnerability around this, feminine energy is questioning themselves as to whether that's the right choice. For masculine right now that's going through this right now, this is again either masculine energy that is And again, this is a bit of the problem around this right now that feminine is potentially seeing. For some of the masculine energy right now, you're still recognizing that this feels like some level or degree of surrender that's hard for you at this time. Opening up in this capacity is not easy. It is hard. Being vulnerable is hard. And you're trying to teach yourself how to do it. And you're almost potentially even feeling kind of surprised about how, like, the more vulnerable you try to be, the harder it is to do. But we see here the masculine energy that's trying to come towards feminine at this time. You're trying to do this work internally. You may even be trying to articulate to feminine that this is what the vacillation point was, not your own desire to vacillate. While for masculine energy that is moving away from feminine right now, that has made some kind of choice, some conscious choice to move away from feminine, that to all intents and purposes showed the ability to have a good partnership with. This is a moment that you are kind of potentially confronting something right now. You are battling something. And that something that you're battling is yourself. This is you potentially recognizing that you are battling someone, and that person that you've been battling is yourself. Because you're potentially asking yourself, why are you making things so difficult for yourself at this moment as you proceed forward in this way? Because you may be recognizing right now that some of your own behavior is self-sabotaging, that you're moving towards feminine, but without any articulation as to why, building into a point of commitment that you effectively get too frightened, and then you move away, and then you rinse and repeat, and you do it over and over again. And so this is that moment that you may have to be feeling like you're facing yourself right now to really ask yourself what it is that you truly desire, so that you can stop making it as difficult as you are making it for yourself, because you're recognizing right now that some of your behaviors don't serve you. They just make things worse. That is our daily collective read for today. I want to thank you guys so much for being here and experiencing it with me. Just a reminder, if you would like to book a private reading with me, you can book one on my website, Strega.com. My private readings are done over video with the option of a recording sent to you afterwards. And if you are a subscriber to my TikTok, you can take 10% off any of my services when you pay. Just mention your subscriber ID at the point of payment. Please keep in mind, if you book a private reading with me, it is a two-step process. You have to book the reading and you have to pay for the reading. Please make sure you do both if you'd like to have that reading. Most importantly, I would like to remind you that I will never, ever, 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 ever reach out to you for a private reading. I will never inbox you. I will never PM you. I will never slide into your DMs and tell you that I have a very important message that only I can deliver. The only way you can book a reading with me is if you book one on my website. So I encourage you to do it there. I want to thank you guys so much for having this reading with me today, and we will do this again tomorrow.